The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Cosplay Alliance, our partners and affiliates. This episode of the Cosplay Alliance podcast may contain coarse language or sensitive subject matters. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Cosplay Alliance podcast. We're going to go beneath the cowl this week and we're going to talk about a subject that everybody on this panel has done at one point or another. Cosplay 101, essential tips and tricks on how to be a new cosplayer. So sit under the learning tree of cosplay and with our esteemed panel. Let's see, to my left on the screen, but I'm pointing the wrong direction. Rachel.
Hi guys, nice to be on the podcast. Excited to talk, excited to chat. I go by Ray Cos pretty much everywhere, so that's how you can find me. Feel free to drop a DM if you have follow-up questions. I'm a happy chatter.
Awesome. And going, I guess, counterclockwise as I'm looking at the screen underneath Rachel, we have Allie Cosplay.
Hey, also happy to be here. I go by Allie Cosplay. Follow me there or not follow me, it's okay. I'm excited to be here though and talk about this.
All right, and still keeping in counterclockwise, we got Tanner, Battle Damage Props.
That's me. Hey folks, Tanner here. Do a lot of foam work. Recently trying my hand at sewing, which whenever we get around to the questions, I'll tell you which one's harder. That's all I got.
All right, and carrying it on, we got Lexi. How are you?
Hi, I'm Lexi. You can find me at Lexi Carey on all platforms. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, we're very good. And is this one of your first times on the Cosplay Alliance podcast?
This is my second time, but first time talking about cosplay, which is fun because, fun fact, I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary of being a cosplayer, so that's very exciting.
There we go. So, welcome to your second appearance and actually to talk about cosplay. And above you, we have the man himself, Mr. Cosplay, Anthony.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming tonight. This is a very important subject matter, and I look forward to talking about it.
I think of all the years of doing the Cosplay Alliance podcast, have we ever done a Cosplay 101 or
not a one-on-one? Like there were questions here and there, but not a full-on welcome to the cosplay community episode.
Well, let's just jump straight into it. So we do have some questions here. And first for the panel, what are some basic tools or supplies that every cosplayer needs? Now, whoever wants to speak first, just go, me.
I'll go.
Okay, Rachel.
You said me.
Get a good hot glue gun. I know it's really tempting to use the one from the dollar store that's been kicking around your house for forever, and that is, yes, a great place to start. But my life has improved tenfold since I got an actual one from like the hardware store and the Gorilla glue sticks. I think that's the number one thing. You can pack it with you in basically any bag, bring it with you to a con when stuff falls apart. It's quick, it's easy, and it will do for most things. And then my other one is safety pins. We are in an age of really low barrier to entry to cosplay. When I started cosplaying, there weren't the availability of costumes that we have now. With what we have now, it's so easy to get something that maybe almost fits great, turn it inside out, safety pin it onto yourself, turn it back right side, put it on, and you've got something that fits you amazing. Very easy, beginner friendly.
That's glue guns and safety pins are good. How about anybody else?
I find that we always have, we have our cosplay safety kit. Between Ed and I'm always like, are you bringing the safety kit? Because one of us is going to need it at some point. But I find that the thing that we use most in there is probably, there it is, is the Velcro. I find that I'm constantly needing Velcro to just put pieces together, or I use it a lot for my belts, I find. I just like that sometimes the suits that I buy, they don't quite fit like to my body size, which is fine. But then when you have that Velcro and it has that two-sided like the glue and like the Velcro pieces, it's really easy to change the size of something really quickly on the spot if you need to.
Oh, there's lots of times we've used this for belting or suits or armor or anything. Something falls apart. It's like quick, like this stuff here. It's industrial strength, and I think it will handle up to 10 pounds. So that works great.
I mean, that's a quick way if you don't want to sew and resize something, right? I mean, we all can't be Lisa.
No, I know, right? Like, especially at a con too, where I'm like, oh gosh, this is falling apart. Like, it's really easy to just be like,
Velcro is like my best friend.
Well,
and sewing is a skill that takes a lot of practice. And if you don't have a sewing machine, they're not necessarily super accessible. Velcro, way more accessible.
I bought one of the portable sewing machines, the little small, and it's still in the box. I haven't used it.
They work
if anybody
okay.
wants it, yeah, you can have it.
Well, if you don't test your costume ahead of time and it starts falling apart, especially if you're doing 3D printing or foam. A couple of years ago when I was in Knoxville, it was 95 degrees and I'm out there in my Snake Eyes costume, and all the contact cement started melting and the armor's falling off me. I'm like, ugh! So I had to put it together with Velcro because that's what I had with me. So, any other?
The contact cement was melting.
Yeah, it was hot.
I just want to touch on what Rachel said because I had the same question as well. Andrew wanted to know what's the difference between the cheap glue gun and the quality glue gun.
So when you're working with glue guns, actually it's great. They've made a lot of recent improvements to some of the like glue sticks that you can get. I've seen some that are specifically for foam, for example, which is super cool. But when you're getting a glue gun, you have to think what you're essentially doing is getting like a little tube of plastic and then you're heating it, melting it into place, and that plastic is re-solidifying. So a cheaper glue gun is only going to get so hot. You usually don't have very good control over the temperature. And the little like cheap glue sticks that come at the dollar store, again, if it's all you have, it will work in a pinch. But the connection is just not as solid. It doesn't stay cemented together very well. And so sometimes it's trial and error finding the right kinds of glue sticks and the right heat on the glue gun for the material you're working with. But you have a lot more flexibility and choice when you're working with a glue gun that's from the hardware store that might have a temperature control or that gets up to a higher temperature versus one from the dollar store where you typically won't have any of that. And it also may not be consistent in how hot it gets.
I didn't even know that. I was using the dollar store one.
Again, it works.
I got to upgrade. I mean, it
works,
does, but
it works, right?
As well as it can. I use the dollar store glue gun with the Gorilla Glue stick.
Yeah. And the glue guns from the hardware store I find are not super, super expensive. It's obviously going to be more expensive than your dollar store glue gun. But it's not, if it's a tool that you're using regularly, I think it's something worth investing in. And sometimes you can even find them at like pawn shops or Facebook Marketplace, secondhand stores, things like that. And you can get a really good deal on it.
I think another good one is also Dremel tools. I use it. Now, I know I don't do a lot of foam work, but I know some people use it to shape foam. I do a lot of Dremel work, especially with 3D prints, being able to drill into stuff or cut extra pieces off. So even just a cheap Dremel tool can do a lot of stuff with it as well. Any other tools or things that a beginning cosplayer should do?
I would just say it's not really a tool, but like buy more than you think you need of something. Like when it comes to super glue, especially super glue, I find that I run out of super glue so fast. So whenever I go to any sort of craft store and I see the brand that I always buy, I like grab 3, even if I know I have them at home, because I go through it so quickly. So like whatever the material is, just buy more than you think you need, because it's so frustrating when you run out and you can't find any.
Yeah. I think that's it too. We all kind of develop our preferences over time. So when you see the brand you like or it's on sale or something like that, just stock up.
Yeah.
You never know when you're going to need it.
Exactly.
In regards to this question, does the size of the glue sticks matter? I don't think it does, but I mean, you guys should be able to. I don't know if it's an actual question or.
I mean, you can put smaller glue sticks in a larger gun, but you can't put larger glue sticks in a smaller gun. So it kind of.
I only see the standard size, so I don't know if there's.
Yeah, I think you just need to pick the right glue stick for the job.
Well, there you go.
There we go. Well,
Slightly above average glue sticks don't hurt.
Hey, the size of the glue stick, as we said, it only matters the size of the glue gun. So nobody's judging whatever size glue gun you have.
And demonetized. There goes all that YouTube money.
We're talking about glue sticks.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Now that we've got everyone grabbing their glue sticks and grabbing their Velcro and heading to a con, it can be intimidating for people. So what are some tips and advice on being able to get into the community here?
Yeah, I would say buddy system. If you have somebody you know who's willing to tag along for the day, that's great. Another thing I would do is look into the con schedules ahead of time. A lot of them will have different panels or events based around certain kinds of interests, as well as big group meetups for cosplay. So if you have something that you're really into, let's say you're a big One Piece fan, there is always going to be a One Piece group meetup at some point at the con. Everybody else who's cosplayed in their One Piece cosplays. You have a pretty good chance if you go dressed up, being able to strike a conversation with somebody who's either in the same cosplay as you or who you already know you have something in common with. Another thing would be looking into communities like the Cosplay Alliance community. We do booths at cons as well, and we pretty much always have somebody around. It's a good opportunity to come say hi. Maybe it's a familiar face, somebody you already know from online, or you're meeting somebody new. I know I've met a lot of people through this community, and my friend circle has grown. For example, Tanner and I probably wouldn't know each other if it weren't for Cosplay Alliance. So, great.
Yep, that's pretty accurate. Yeah, for myself, when I first started getting into going to cons. Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say I went to smaller cons first. Actually, the Ottawa Geek Market was the first one I went to, and that's actually where I started. This is 2018, and I saw these amazing costumes, and I wanted to learn how to make them. And I think if I went to something huge like Fan Expo right off the bat, it would have just been overload and quick burnout. And so for people that are looking to start, I'd say find smaller ones to go to, find out if it's your thing or if it's not too overstimulating for you. So.
Just to piggyback off of that, my first con was New York Comic Con, and I didn't make any friends.
Oh my god.
So it would just be me and my boyfriend going for like 3 years, and it was just the two of us. Didn't make any friends any of those times. And when we finally went to like Fan Expo Philly for the first time, granted it's not really considered a small con, but it's much smaller than New York Comic Con. We were able to make so many friends, and like now some of my best friends are people that I've met through going to other like smaller cons. Yeah, so don't jump into New York Comic Con. Look, you might surprise yourself, but it didn't work out for me. It definitely is a lot of people and can be very overstimulating. But yeah, that's just a piggyback off of that point.
I think social media helps too in a way, in terms of creating a friend circle or people in various areas. When you do go to cons, you do end up meeting them. So I think social media is a great tool. It can be a great tool in terms of connecting people from different areas.
Well, how about picking that first cosplay? Now, how about okay? So here I want to do more direct. Let's start with you, Allison. What was one of your first cosplays you picked, and how and why did you pick that one?
One of my first or my very first?
How about your very first?
Well, I mean, I am the most typical of white girls, and I picked Harley Quinn as my first cosplay. I don't I mean, I think that just more or less had something to do with I was at the time my first con I was going with the person that I was dating at that time. And I had heard that like people dressed up at these things. I didn't know that it was cosplay. I just was like, yeah, I hear people dress up at these things. I think that would be fun. I already had loved Halloween, and I already loved dressing up and doing like makeup and all that stuff. So it was kind of like right in my avenue. So we went as like the typical, like almost like what you see on like Halloween. Like he was the Joker, I was Harley. We went to Niagara Falls Comic Con, which was my first con. Like a smaller cause or a smaller con, but not a huge or like a super small con. And then when we went there, I was kind of like, oh, there's like, this is like a thing. Like this is like a community, and like there's a lot more to this than just getting dressed up and going to a con. Like there's other, like getting to meet friends and do photo shoots together, or you get to do volunteer work, or you get to do like other fun things in this community. So I don't think I realized how vast it is until I really got into it. So that was interesting.
Now, what was was there any intimidation factor there before you went the first time? Did it make it easier going to it in cosplay?
Oh, I still get intimidated. Yeah, for sure. There was, I mean, I just bought my costume, I think off of like, gosh, like no, like, I can't even remember if it was like maybe Spirit or something. It was very like easy peasy. But then I went to the con, and I could see people like Tanner, who had like built like these amazing cosplays. And I'm like, you did that? That's incredible. And I find I have that now. Like, and I'm probably gonna get her Instagram wrong, but is it Sapphire Cosplay? Like her one cosplay that she had this fan expo, I was like, that, I still look at that and I get intimidated. So like, I don't know if that ever actually like goes away. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking for myself.
Well, how about you, Tanner? What was your first cosplay?
Was that giant armor that I made. That was that was the first thing. I just dove right on into it. Oh yeah. Then I entered it into Fanaticon in 2022. I think I ended up winning best in show in that. But that was.
Oops, we lost Tanner.
No.
And I guess for anyone listening, that's my advice to you. Don't. Oh, what am I back?
You froze.
Yeah.
You froze.
Can you hear me?
So your advice was so good, nobody heard it.
my advice to anyone out there. Now, this is important.
So the secret of life is
okay. I can only play that joke out for so long. 47. My advice to anyone out there is just don't be. Keep failing upwards. Just I fail every time I do something, and I learn a little bit more. To be honest, I don't think I'm ever really fully satisfied with anything I make, but I'm always learning. And I love that process about it. So, but yeah, to answer the question, was that big giant armor, which I refuse to wear now because after an hour, I am just a big sweaty beast in that thing. I saw a question about how to beat the heat. There is no way to beat the heat. The heat wins. The heat always wins.
All right, guys. Wait, before we proceed, we're giving away 2 tickets to Wednesday's special screening of Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. So if anyone's in the chat and they want to come, it's in Toronto, so make sure you're in Toronto or in the GTA. Just comment Superman in the chat. I will enter you into the raffle.
perfect. Yes. So that's Wednesday, 7:00 at Yonge and Eglinton.
Yeah.
So make sure you go to the right theater. It has happened that people went to the wrong theater.
Not done that.
Anyone in this room? Anyone in this room?
No.
Oh,
no.
yes.
I
Yeah.
don't know
No, we were close. We were very close to missing it. But no, yeah, definitely. Because as you can see, I got Superman right behind me here, so he's getting ready for Wednesday.
Christian and Andrew, just leave your Instagram handles as well.
Perfect. Rachel, how about you? What was your first cosplay?
Yeah, so my first cosplay was just over a decade ago. in the era of the high-low dresses. So I had gotten one of those like from Walmart black high-low dresses, and I borrowed one of my friends, and she's the whole reason I even got into cosplay in the first place. But I borrowed her like ratty Hatsune Miku wig that had the really long pigtails, and neither of us had any knowledge on wig upkeep at the time. Or wig styling or anything. So the bangs weren't cut. There was no wig cap. It was not secured. You know, my hair was peeking through. And it was actually not for a con. It was for a like cosplay in the park meetup that happened in the town I was living in at the time. So it was much more social focused. And I think that took a lot of the pressure off of it for me. But yeah, that is so we've come a really, really long way, and I would really echo Tanner's sentiment because I have a lot of older cosplays that through the years I've reworked as I've gotten better at things, but fail upwards. You don't have to be done your costume perfectly the first time. It's okay to revisit something that maybe you weren't 100% happy with and do something extra to it. Maybe you get new tools as you go and you do improvements. Maybe you learn how to style that wig better and you take it out of retirement and you restyle it. You know, maybe you learn new sewing techniques and you make something fit yourself nicer. It's okay to just continue to improve. And sometimes there's even joy in getting better at something.
Well, that's all good
Yeah.
advice. How about you, Lexi? What was your first cosplay?
So my first cosplay was I didn't consider it cosplay at the time. It was a Halloween costume, but it was Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy. Because the movie came out in the summertime of 2014, and I was 14, and I was home alone, and I decided to just randomly paint my face green, eyeshadow of all things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should be Gamora for Halloween. So my mom takes me to Spirit Halloween, and I get like the Spirit Halloween Gamora costume, which I actually still have. Like, I will never get rid of it. And I got like the really shitty Spirit Halloween face paint, which, you know, cracks and like burned my skin. But I wore that to a Halloween party, and it was just the fact that like people didn't even recognize me. And like for months after the Halloween party, people were just like, oh my gosh, was that you as Gamora at that party? Like, I had no idea who that was. And it just like, it kind of was a good feeling. And I got into this mindset of how do I like one up myself every year for Halloween? But also, at the time, my older sister was living in New York, and every single year she would send me pictures of people on the subway, like getting ready to go to Comic-Con, like in costume. And I was like, oh, I really want to go to Comic-Con one day. And it was, I didn't learn to make my own cosplays until a little more recently, but I still had like the spirit of cosplaying and like just loving to just embody my favorite characters and go out in public dressed up. And people who know me know that I'm like constantly in body paint nowadays. Like, my knowledge has gone up on that, and I don't use Spirit Halloween body paint anymore. And I've just come along with since then. But yeah, it was Gamora.
Well, as we said, you upgrade stuff. So you start off with easily accessible Spirit Halloween, and you know, get better,
you don't have to start out making your own cosplays. Like, you can start off buying something, and your first cosplay doesn't have to look good as long as you're having fun doing it. That's all that matters.
My first costume was hilarious, because I did Deathstroke for my first costume, so I bought a bunch of like motorcycle like the jacket and stuff like that. But the first time I wore it, I was like choking for the first year, right? This is gonna be funny. So I was choking for the first year, whatever. I still shot with it, whatever. People took photos and stuff. The second year, like midway through the con, I'm like, I realized I was wearing the jacket on backwards the whole time. I was like, I had the back piece because I thought it was armor, right? So I'm like, okay, it's armor, it's in the front. Then I put it on the back. I'm like, okay, I had it on backwards the whole time.
Well, just go ahead and make sure, like, just pretend that nobody saw you do that, and then you're
I still have pictures. I'll show you pictures.
backwards Deathstroke.
Yeah.
It could be a thing. Hey, everything is a cosplay. Now, speaking about armor, the eternal debate: what is better, 3D printing or foam smithing? How about our panel here? What's everyone's preference
for beginners?
For beginners,
Foam smithing.
I think the bar, like the level of entry, has been set now. It's easier to jump in 3D printing. But my advice would be starting off foam smithing. I wish I had those skills. But I would say if you're gonna start and you want to learn, start foam smithing, then go into 3D print.
Yeah.
I was the other way around.
Yeah, I think foam patterns are very accessible. They're relatively inexpensive, and even there's a lot of free ones. You get people like Tanner who are incredible at it and who post like tips and tricks too, which is great. I would say foam over 3D printing just for a couple of reasons. One is the barrier to entry as far as cost is going to be a lot lower for foam than for 3D printing. Over time, that may not be necessarily the case, but getting a 3D printer, unless you already have access, can be a little bit expensive. And what is a barrier is sizing for 3D printed pieces. A lot can go wrong when you size things up and down. I recently started 3D printing and have had quite my fair share of headaches. So from somebody who's relatively new to both 3D printing and the foam side of things, I'd say foam was a lot easier to learn and to pick up, as well as just more comfortable to wear.
Yeah.
Well, a good tip for anybody wanting
Absolutely.
to 3D printing: just realize that everything you're going to print is going to be wrong at least once, maybe twice. Just realize that whatever you print, you're probably going to end up throwing out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It'll just take you 60 hours to get there to figure that out.
I would also say that foam is more versatile because, like, yes, you can make armor out of foam, but there are like other things you can make out of foam. For example, I do an Ahsoka Tano cosplay, and I started 3 different times making the Leku out of like EVA foam and upholstery foam. I have larger than average hair though, and every time I made it, it was not sized right to my own head, and I eventually gave up and bought silicone ones. But you would not be able to 3D print those, and like you could, but you wouldn't. It would not be comfortable. You wouldn't be able to turn your head, and it wouldn't look natural because they're supposed to be like a little jiggly. So foam is more versatile. You can make more things out of it that you can't 3D print.
Where are some of the best places to buy foam?
I got mine from Amazon.
Amazon? How about everyone else?
Yeah, there's in Toronto, there's a sculpture store that has lots of options. I know Tanner's got a guy. I'll let Tanner talk about this more because I would call him like the foam guy. But yeah, Amazon is great. I've bought a fair.
That's my name.
Yeah, no longer battle damage props. You're now the foam guy.
Foam master Tanner.
Rebranding.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm into it.
Name. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Let's get into some con safety.
Before we do that, I just wanted to address this question by Ali.
Hold on 1 second. I just want to. Oh.
Yeah. So in regards to this question, I think we can all agree that there is no what do you call it? There is no set standards for cosplay. I mean, whatever you want to call a cosplay or whatever you want to wear, it's considered a cosplay. I don't think there's any barriers or there's anything holding you back from a costume being considered a cosplay. Yeah, so that's I just wanted to touch base on that.
Part of me feels like I would call the thing you're wearing a costume, but it's like the energy that makes it a cosplay, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, con safety. So what are some tips?
Yeah, it's whatever you want it to be.
Con safety. Going to a con, what are some tips to protect yourself when you're at an event? Let's go. Allie, how about you?
Con safety. I'll always just be aware that, like, there are unfortunately bad people that can attend these events that have ill intentions. So, like, these are things that you need to be aware of. But like personally, my tip is just like I don't go anywhere in the con alone. That's just a rule that I put on myself. Like if I'm going somewhere, if I'm walking around, or if I want to see something, I'll make sure that I grab one of my friends that I'm with, to basically be my scary dog privileges, to walking around the con. So that's been my main focus. Like cons, photo shoots, anything like that. I will never ever you will never see me by myself at any of these events ever.
No, it's always a good tip. Tanner, how about you? Now, I don't think we have to worry about anybody picking you up and carrying you away, but what have you got for some tips for con safety?
Pickpockets. I've heard a lot of people have been losing their stuff at some of these things, which is unfortunate. You can buy body. Don't leave your phones lying around. I think I'm constantly worried about that now. And some of these people have really good, really fast fingers. Besides that, just bring Rach with you. She's tough.
I actually was a victim of a
But yeah.
pickpocket back at Toronto Comic Con. I had my phone stolen. So that's something I was going to touch on is if you can find a way to make a pocket internal to your costume, that's great. My phone was actually stolen like out of my bag, albeit it was a tote bag. But definitely something to be aware of. Bags with zippers are great. Internal pockets within pockets that make it harder to access is really good. For me, I am a bit of a side quester. I'm not always good at doing what Allie does of always having a buddy, but what I do like to do is share my location with a couple of people. And whatever tools you have for doing that, depending on the kind of phone that you have. But at least that way, even if I get separated from my group or anyone else, it makes it easier to meet back up and find things.
Perfect. How about you, Lexi?
Pretty much what everyone else said. Like the buddy system is very important. It is very helpful to have a handler. It's not always easy to get a handler because, especially if you're someone who's friends with a bunch of cosplayers, we're all not going to really have pockets. But like when you're able to have someone just carry all your belongings for you and just like you don't have to worry about anything in your pockets, that's definitely helpful. I would also recommend like having a location in the con where like you and your friends know like this is like if we can't get in contact with each other, because sometimes cell service is horrible in the convention center, like have a spot where you just know you'll be able to find people that you know. Or if you, let's say you get separated from your group, but you see another group of people, you know, just tag along. And like most of the community is very accepting. Just be like, hey, I'm going to hang around you until I find my group. And most of us will just be like, yeah, it's fine. We'll help you find them.
Well, and here's a shameless plug. If you get lost and Cosplay Alliance has a booth, just swing by the Cosplay Alliance booth. We're a great base of operations for people.
We will be your designated meeting spot.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And we do have scary dogs
right.
within our group that will look after you. So, because that even happened where I had to.
Our rates are very reasonable.
I had a photo op to go do, and I took Allison. I went over to B, and I'm like, please look after Allie. I'm going to be back.
Yep.
Now, if you're not in a con, now there seems to be a lot more photo shoots now. Compared to when I first started cosplaying, like 11, 12 years ago, now there seems to be a lot of coordinated events and events going on. How about safety and security when you're going to an event, or even just doing photo shoots in general? Any tips or tricks?
Veteran photographers first.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely look up your photographers, ask around. Ideally, a photographer is somebody who has worked with somebody you know, or you've got some kind of connection to. And my big red flag for photographers is just never do a photo shoot with somebody who isn't cool with you having other people tag along.
Bingo.
Ding ding ding.
If you can't bring somebody with you, then you shouldn't be going to the shoot.
Yep. That is the biggest red flag.
Actually, here's some tips. How could somebody pick the right photographer? What are things to look for?
Yeah.
For me, I never had a go-to photographer for a really long time. And I kind of met photographers through like people stopping me at a con and just being like, hey, can I snap your picture? And over time, like there have been familiar faces where I've like felt like, okay, this photographer respects me and I don't feel uncomfortable with them approaching me. Like I've had other photographers where like I don't feel comfortable at all when they approach me at a con and I recognize them and I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay away from them. But I've definitely had a few where I will see them repeatedly at cons and they'll be like, oh, hey, I remember you from this other con you were at this cosplay. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you and I felt comfortable with you. And you can eventually like reach out to them and schedule time with them and do it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would also say pick somebody whose photos you like. If you see somebody and you like most of their photos, I think then you know that you're probably going to like the photos that they take of you. It also helps if there's somebody who does lots of photos of the same kind of cosplays that you want to do. So, if you're cosplaying from anime, somebody who takes a lot of photos of people who cosplay from anime is probably going to be a good fit versus maybe there's somebody else who does a lot of like comic or armor focused, or some do special effects. So finding somebody both that you vibe with, but who also makes work that you just generally like is good. You can also always message them. Ask them if they're okay with posing you or helping you with posing tips, things like that, especially if you're new. Sometimes it can be a little bit uncomfortable in front of the camera for the first time while you figure out how you want to pose, and having somebody who can give direction is very helpful.
And that's also where it helps too when you have you bring a buddy with you or somebody with you if they have an idea as well, because if they're watching objectively, they come over and say, hey, how about you move here, how about you do this, and reference photos as well so you can get your poses down and have an idea. If you have a plan of what you want it to look like, then most times your finished product will match that.
I will say too though, I want to say that sometimes you don't need a professional photographer all the time. Some of my best photos have come from that guy right there. Like,
which guy? Me?
Yeah, you. Like off of our phones. Like, it doesn't need to be a high-tech person with a high-tech phone all the time. Like, it can be as simple as just taking a photo off of your camera with the person that you feel comfortable with. Sometimes that gets the best photo as well too.
Well, now with new smartphones, like the resolution on the phones is probably better than a DSLR camera.
Yeah.
And you can do all the editing right on your phone. You don't need a computer. You don't need really fancy software. Even that is like you can make GIFs out of it. You can make cutouts.
Yeah.
Like you can do everything on your phone now.
It's a lot more work. It's a lot more work editing.
Sorry,
on the phone.
Well, back up for a sec. Did you say GIF?
GIF,
Yeah,
GIF.
peanut butter.
GIF or GIF? Now this is a whole different conversation altogether.
Hold on, no, this is next week's podcast. We'll talk about the pronunciation.
GIF, GIF. Graphics interface. It's a G, not Jaffix. I will fight you on this.
This is the hill. This is the hill we chose to die on.
Everyone out there taking notes. GIF. It's GIF, not GIF.
Okay.
Oh, God.
You say GIF at a cosplay thing, they will kick you right out.
Now,
I'd like to apologize to everyone out there right now who just heard that. That is,
now you just split the community in half.
we did not agree to this in the pre-show talk.
Everyone is now.
Okay, I'm going to go back to being frozen.
GIF or GIF. Yeah.
I have some GIF upstairs. creamier.
Yeah. Oh, it's not too late to change your Instagram name.
Oh, who did we lose?
GIF cosplay.
Oh,
Oh, Rach got angry. She left. See, you upset her. You upset her with the GIF.
this is what happens.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Andrew asked a question. What do you guys?
She will be
enjoy
missed.
more? Making the costumes or wearing them at the cons? I think it's
Wearing
for
them.
me. For me, it's a little bit of both. I mean, I don't know, actually, I hate making costumes. I'll be honest. I think wearing it is probably more fun.
I think it's the mixture of it. It's like the mixture of like making something, putting so much time into it, putting so much effort into it, and then getting to wear it at the event and having such good reception with it. Like especially for my Scarlet Witch, I made my own Scarlet Witch cosplay from the WandaVision show, and I made her from scratch. That was from me watching thousands of hours of WandaVision and pausing and like getting really close and taking photos and like looking at those photos for hours. And she took me a year and a half, but like I finished her. I was so proud. And then I put her in a contest and she won Best in Show. And I was like, it was so worth it, all the time and the stress and the effort and the crying and the wanting to quit and questioning why I'm doing this to myself and everything.
And the hotel crunching and working on it the night before and
literally
hot
gluing myself before I get to the con floor. I'm like standing there like drying, like it's okay, we're gonna be fine.
So, contact cement and gluing it to you in the hotel room.
Yeah, no, but to me, it's a mixture of both. It's like the effort, the time, and the energy, and then everybody going, "Oh my god, that's so great! I can't believe you made that." And you're like, "Me too."
Now, sometimes there is a bit of benefit just to, or like, I call it cost play now. You just buy something off of Pro Cosplay or Sim Cosplay. Those are the two that I patron the most. And, you know, you just get it, you throw it on, and you're ready to roll. And some of those, like, they get pretty good reaction, and you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what feedback do you want?
Yeah. And also, I feel like it depends on the cosplay sometimes, because most of the time I have more enjoyment out of wearing them, and like the entire process that I'm making it, I'm like, I hate this so much. But with one cosplay that I really enjoyed the process of making was my Spider Punk, because it's just like, Punk's not perfect. You get to be as messy as you want, and I was stressing out over like a bunch of the studs falling off, and then I'm like, wait, he's missing studs anyway. So, and just having an amalgamation of patches and spikes and pins and it was just a lot of fun to make. And then people loved it, which was also a great feeling.
Well, how about we'll start into wrapping everything up here so we can get to the hour mark. But what about words of inspiration for cosplay? If you have impart words of wisdom and you're like your last words on earth to a cosplayer, what would you tell them? How about you, Tanner?
Oh wow, being put on the spot. Okay. Wait, it's my did you say my last hour on Earth?
Yeah,
tell my kids I love them.
No. This is your last hour on Earth, imparting wisdom to another cosplayer. Yeah.
I am so much other stuff. Just some random. Yeah, I'm gonna tell him it's GIF, not GIF. That's my words of inspiration.
That's the hill you're dying on again. And then they'll say, Tanner, you're wrong.
Right?
And then put the pillow over your head.
Yeah. Oh, good question. I'd say enjoy the process. Don't break your brain over all of this, especially if you're not being paid for it. It's more about the relationships that you form rather than the likes that you get online. All that, it's nice to be recognized. However, I much prefer the relationships that I've formed with people in the community than any number of validation from thousands of strangers online.
We love you too, Tanner. We love you too.
I love you too.
Oh, how about you, Lexi?
Oh,
Hey, wait a minute. I saw hearts popping up. Maybe Rachel's just got the funny one where now it's fired. See? Oh, Rachel's got hearts. Nobody else has that. She had to.
She had so much more love.
Oh, how did you do that, the wizard?
Okay, how about you, Lexi? It's your final day in cosplay. What wisdom are you imparting onto the world as you leave?
I would say don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone because it will be rewarding 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid of other people interpreting, like thinking you're weird because we're all weirdos. So just embrace being weird.
That's very good advice. How about you, Rachel?
Wear a cosplay to a con that is comfortable, where your cosplay you worked really, really hard on and is uncomfortable for photos.
That works.
Or if you're gonna wear an uncomfortable cosplay, only wear it for a couple hours at the con.
Yeah, that bring a change of clothes and somewhere to store the uncomfortable one. Yeah.
Wear the uncomfortable one to a con, get at least one photo, and then you got proof. I did it.
Wear it to the first day of con. By the end of the con, it's sweatpants cosplays only, and that's on JJK.
How about you, Allie? Your last day in cosplay. What wisdom are you imparting?
Are we talking in the sense of like creating or just like cosplay community in general?
I guess.
Just whatever you want. What's your word of inspiration as your croak?
On your tombstone.
My words of wisdom. Just really honestly remember why you got into this and stay true to yourself. This community it can be deadly, it can be stressful, it can be frustrating, it can be all of these things, but you need to remember that like at the end of the day, if the internet craps out and Instagram is gone and TikTok is gone, Facebook is gone and everything is gone, like we're still people at the end of it. Like don't kill yourself. Don't break your bank for this. Like don't just stay humble, stay true. Remember, we're all friends. We're all nerds. Like we're all just here to have fun. Like at the end of the day, we all have the same goal. We just want to be happy and enjoy these fun little things that we get to enjoy as adults, right? So that'd be my word of advice.
All right. Anthony, how about you?
I would say do it for you. At the end of the day, we're a community. And if as Lexi said, she's went for 3 years and didn't make any friends. You will eventually find your tribe, and if you don't, your tribe will find you. It just takes time. So just go out, have fun, do it for yourself, and that's it.
Well, there we go. Can't say.
What about you, Ed? What about you?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm never retiring. I'm not inspirational.
You got 5 minutes till you croak. What are you going to say?
You've got 5 minutes left to live. What do you tell them?
Well, see. So a GIF is a. No.
It's a random person. They don't even do cosplay, but you're trying to sell them on it.
Yeah. Damn it. It's called GIF, right? GIF, app, whatever. I think everyone here has all said it perfectly. Like, everyone has their own reasons for doing cosplay, whether it's just to be nerdy and geeky and identify, maybe even just escape into yourself. or escape from yourself into somebody else. Like, we can't all be Batman, but you can dress up as Batman. And maybe you can just escape from whatever you got going on in life at the time. Everyone has bad days. Everyone has good days. But maybe if you can be Batman, I'm Batman today. And, you know, sometimes that just picks an ideal within yourself that you would like to put out to the world. You know, we can't all be super soldiers, but we can carry a Captain America shield. I think everyone said, like stay humble. Remember, hey, we all do this for a reason. Like the ones who, if you're in it for cosplay fame and, oh, I'm going to be a featured cosplayer here, that is a very small segment within the cosplay hobby that actually makes it there. So just find the things that you enjoy, and remember, that's where the peace in this comes. Like you know, where you can go to a con and go home and go, hey, this is the moments I enjoyed. And those are the things that you can go back and remember. All right. So, any other final, I know I said final wisdom, but any other final tips or tricks that okay, Lexi, how about you?
Yeah. Just because one thing you said made me think of it. It doesn't matter what you look like. You can cosplay whatever character you want. It doesn't matter what your body looks like, what your race is, within reason. Don't race face. That's one thing I will say. But just cosplay a character you enjoy. You don't have to look like the character.
Simple as that. Cosplay is for everyone. So, you know, just have fun with it. All right. Well, as we said, Wednesday night in Toronto at Yonge and Eglinton, it's the Superman Christopher Reeve story. So drop Superman in the chat here. You'll be entered into the raffle. Anthony will get a hold of you if you're on the guest list. The movie is very dynamic. I've heard great reviews so far, and it is a very tear-jerking moment. So I don't know if I'm ready to see Christopher Reeve, you know, and cry, but please drop in the chat. Also, next week, we got Cosplay Shinobi, who is in the chat as well. He's going to be interviewing Rogue from X-Men 97. So Lenore Zahn. Hit us up on Instagram on the post. There is a post. If you have questions that you would like Chris to ask Lenore Zahn, drop it in the post.
Yeah, he's interviewing her tomorrow, actually. So yeah, if you guys have questions.
There we go. So, and that one is going to be pre-taped, and that will be broadcast next Monday on this channel. Yeah. And also Wednesdays is now our Cosplay Alliance review night. So this upcoming Wednesday is the Joker Folie de. It's taken me all week to finally figure out how to pronounce it properly. The Folie de Joker 2 spoiler review.
Yeah, you'll see Ed and Gussie in their suits. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. That was Allison was our videographer for that, and that was a lot of fun. So usually we did the live review. We took an opportunity, sat in the theater, and we kind of had like a Siskel and Ebert vibe going on, and that was a blast. So that will be this Wednesday, and we have lots of great reviews coming up. We have lots of topics that we want to talk about. I know, Allie, you put on the list of Agatha All Along because you've been binging that. So
ferociously.
So the doll hoodie on right now.
Girl.
So once we get to the series or season finale of Agatha All Along, we will do the Agatha All Along review. But no, there's lots of great content coming up, and we have lots of great things for you here on the Cosplay Alliance podcast channel. Just quick wrap up. Tanner, we know we can find you on social media, but anything else you want to plug before we sign off for the night?
Nope, not all. This is a great time. A lot of good questions coming from you, and the notes in the chat. Just gonna point out, I am too short to be Batman. I'm not 6'4", 280 pounds of muscle. I am too short, but thank you very much. Appreciate it for those of you in the chat.
I have one last question. One last question before we go.
Sure.
What was your highest point in your cosplay journey so far? I think I can answer Tanner's, but everyone else?
Yeah, that's great.
What's the most memorable moment in cosplay? We'll start off with Ali.
My most memorable moment in cosplay?
Yeah.
Meeting Ryan Reynolds. Meeting Ryan, I could have died literally after that moment, and I would have been happy. I would have been fine. Just kill me then. I would have been fine.
Rach?
Oh, I think probably the first time I did a big group shoot with a whole bunch of people, and we were all doing the same thing. It was on theme. I think just the atmosphere was so much fun, and it kind of really brought back the joy of it for me.
Awesome. Lexi?
I feel like it's always memorable when a little kid runs up to you at a con and they're just like, you're the real, like, whatever character you are, and they just are so excited to see you and their face lights up. And even sometimes they're in a matching cosplay with you, and just that photo op, and you just know you made that kid's day, and they'll probably remember it for a long time. It feels good.
Nice. We'll go to Tanner last. Ed?
Me? Oh, I got too many to list. There's so many good ones, so can't pick just one.
Alrighty. And Tanner, what's your most memorable moment?
Well, what do you think it is? I'm interested
I
now.
know what it is. I want you to say what it is.
I'm so intrigued.
There's a lot to choose from. There was the first time doing the photo shoot with you guys in, I think it was November. It changes year to year. I won Best in Show at the Ottawa Comic Con in 2023. That was pretty fantastic. But then meeting Hugh Jackman and looking into this man's eyes and seeing a new life together, that we could have grown old together in his Australian kangaroo ranch, would be probably the highlight of my life. Ryan was okay, but Hugh Jackman smelled like sandalwood and daddy. I don't know how else to describe it. This man was incredibly warm, and if he looked at me and said, "Oi, mate, I want you to come back to my palace in Australia and get rid of your missus, and you and me, we're gonna make it work," in a heartbeat, in an absolute heartbeat. So Hugh, if you're out there, I'm waiting, buddy.
He's taking a shot.
Yeah, it would be Hugh Jackman.
He's taking a shot right now.
Alrighty.
Every day I'm taking that shot. He'll answer my DMs one day.
Well, on that note, we can't follow that.
Was that what you thought it was going to be?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, got him to sign my helmet and everything.
Now you can write your Hugh Jackman and Tanner fan fiction and submit that in the chat.
I expect the Wattpad links expeditiously.
Yep.
Right?
All right.
The best fanfic will be posted to my OnlyFans.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure you catch next week for Chris's interview with Lenore Zahn.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
If you're watching this episode on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out other episodes of the Cosplay Alliance podcast. The Cosplay Alliance podcast is also available in audio format on all major podcast